Tiger Woods is back on the PGA Tour and on the grounds at Riviera and Pacific Palisades, and what a monumental night it was last night. Sunday Red, Tiger's new brand set for a new generation of golf to get into the game, and we've got some picks to make here on the roundtable of the Genesis Invitational. So glad to have you with us here on the roundtable. Chris Brees, Will Gray, our leader, and Ben Everill. Where in the world is Ben Everill? He's been in Vegas, he's been in Phoenix, he's been in LA. Ben, where are you?
Yeah, I'm just above the first hole. I'm going to try really carefully here to show you. But there's that first hole here at Riviera, ready to rumble for another huge week.
There are worse spots to hang out for sure than the porch atop the first tee at Riviera. So try not to, get too much sun in your eyes there.
We got to talk about Tiger. We got to talk about best bets, long shots, all of it. Let's start with Tiger Woods, guys, and where you realistically believe him making bets on Tiger, any kind of prop bet you want to do, anything to win, plus 12,500, pretty large, I know, but where, Will, would you say is the line you would set for betting Tiger realistically and what he could do positive this week?
Are we going to keep scrolling to a top 40 option here? Maybe that might be the spot. Listen, we've got to do a little bit of math this week. 70-man field. Not everyone is going to make the cut. There is a cut, but it's a thin one. You're going top 50 in ties plus anyone within 10 shots of the lead. So conceivably, you could have a situation where only a handful of guys miss the cut. Maybe you could talk me into looking at that top 20 market, but realistically, I think Tiger's probably going to start a little slow. And keep in mind, this is a course where he has not had much success historically. He's never played any other event more times than he has this one without winning. So even in the best of times, it was not a course where he was really having a great run. So I would need a little bit more than the top 20 to really get interested this week.
Ben, you don't think top 20?
That is the key that Will mentioned there, the fact that this is one of the courses that he has not won at. He's played the most times here without a win of any other course on the PGA Tour. Geez, I would love to see it. I'd love to see him up there in that top 20. I don't know if I can advocate for it, though. I'm with Will. You might want to scroll down to the next 30 or 40 for it to be really a chance. Look, I want to see it. If you want to have a little bit of fun and have something to really cheer for, okay, maybe look at that top 20. But there are some stud players here this week, a lot of whom have been playing their way into form. Tiger has been playing at home. So as much as I'd love to see him play awesome and love to be proven wrong, I'm not going to advocate anyone putting on the hard-earned out there on the T-double.
Have fun watching him, and we'll see what happens. That's the moral of the story. Plenty of props for Tiger, by the way. First round birdies, over-unders, so many things like that if you want to check out the odds markets there. Let's do this, guys. Instead of looking at the normal odds of the top odds getters, let's put some stats involved here as well, because it's the first time really all year we're seeing so many guys play this event every year, year after year. Here are your, well, it's actually 5 to 8. Here's 1 to 4 right here. Scheffler, McIlroy, Hovland, and Xander Schauffele, your top 4 odds getters. I'm going to get out of the way here. I'm going to hang up and listen and let you guys debate this entire thing of any of these 4 guys that you think catch your eye.
A little bit of red light, green light here, Chris. I like the setup here. The first thing that pops to my eye is to see that Rory McIlroy is losing strokes on the greens at Riviera. These are tough greens. Historically, the Poa can get tricky, but I'm surprised to see with so much green elsewhere on the board that he's struggled with the putter, and maybe that's a big reason why he's had a bunch of top 10s and not a win. I'll throw this over to Ben with a moderate take. This isn't a hot take, but I'm out on Max Homa this week. The guy has been lights out for the last several years. I think 14 straight rounds. He has been inside the top 10 on the leaderboard at Riviera, but his recent form is not there. I think that this is shaping up to be a week where everyone talks themselves into making a play on Max Homa at really short odds or a really high price in DFS, and I don't know that the game is going to translate for another year. There's no such thing as locks or automatic plays, especially at a course that's as fickle as Riviera. So I think that the price is time to sell high on Max Homa.
I wanted to argue against you this week, Will, but you're 100% right in my mind. I mean, Max Homa has not been playing well at all. Yes, he'll have the familiarity of being here. Yes, he'll essentially fire up because he'll have a little chip on his shoulder wanting to win this again, like you mentioned, and having played got so close last year. But at plus 1,800, no thanks. I mean, I reckon it's going to be double that before you start thinking about it, given the current form. Now, look, if he goes out and has an awesome first round and looks the goods, then maybe I can be talked into his turning it around on the spot. But I don't think you're getting any value with his current form and what you see there. I know the stroke's going to pointing at us. I know it's screaming, and I think that's going to get everyone in on him. I'm going to be the one that sits back and waits and sees how Max is playing after watching him in person last week and not being impressed at all.
Yeah, I'm taking all three of those guys that Chris has lined up here on the graphic before I'm taking Homa. Give me JT, give me Collin Morikawa, give me Patrick Cantlay, and I'll leave Max Homa on the bench this week.
Okay.
We can go back to that first page. And you got Scotty Scheffler. And you talked about Rory's putting on the greens. Well, look, one of the things I've noticed here is it's not necessarily a week where the best putters on tour are up there because of the bumpy Poana, etc. But you do have to putt well when you play here. You have to avoid three putts. I think I looked at the last 10 winners, and all put together, they only had 9 three putts across all those 10 years, all those players. So, including a few of them with 0 three putts and a few of them with just 1 three putt, obviously. So you have to avoid chopping it around on the Riviera greens. And we look at Mr. Scheffler. I'm still worried about that.
Before we get into picks, Will, do you think there's a reason no one's really talking about Viktor Hovland right now? He has played less rounds than most of these guys at Riviera. It's been 3 for him. It's been basically 5 for everybody else the last 5 years on this stat. But Viktor Hovland, the stats say pick him. Why not, though?
I mean, I think Viktor Hovland has been noticeably cool out of the gates in 2024. It seems like his game that took him to the FedEx Cup victory last fall is not quite there early in 2024. So it's maybe a wait-and-see approach for a lot of folks with Hovland, knowing that he does have the game to play well at world-class events and world-class courses like Riviera. But given that the star power around him is playing well, Rory already has a win on the DP World Tour. Scotty Scheffler was right in the mix last week. Sam Burns has put up some really impressive stats and finishes to start the new year. Even though we've had a lot of long shot winners, there have been some big names that have put together strong play and strong finishes. Viktor Hovland is not among that group. He had that WD before the tournament started last week in Phoenix, so he was not a part of the fun that Ben and I experienced out in Scottsdale. But I think that it's not going to take much for him to turn things around for Hovland in terms of public sentiment. But for right now, a lot of folks want to see it before they're buying in.
Speaking to his caddy Shane Knight over a coffee this morning, saying that, yeah, look, it's been a little bit of a slow start, but they feel like he's starting to build. Obviously, he's not going to say not to get on the Viktor Hovland train at this point, but I just got the feeling that they're still, the best is still to come, perhaps in the next few weeks after this one. So while that is the case, I'm holding off on Viktor to see how things go.
There's irony in the next segment, guys, because we're looking at the stars and their odds. We're going best bets, Ben, and explain to me why you're going minus 200 on a best bet.
Boo.
Yeah, look, because here's the thing. I'll give you the hot take. He can't win. He's not going to win, but he's going to be in the mix. Okay. Right? Like, here's the thing. Like, I watched that again. I watched that final round very closely in Phoenix, and we have this big debate amongst the Golfbet crew. Is he an assassin? Is he a killer? Is he the type that can just take a tournament by the scruff of the neck and win it in these moments? I'm not sure he is. I think he's a death by paper cut type of guy. I think if he's out in front, he's just going to grind you into the turf and beat you. But if he's in the mix, he hasn't proven necessarily that his putter can hold up. I mean, this is a guy who was supposed to be the winner last week when he took the lead on Sunday and was unable to sort of hold it up. A 3-putt on a par 5 when he had a makeable eagle. I've seen him grinding this morning on the Riviera practice putting green here. I think he'll be in the mix on his ball striking alone, but I'm desperately worried that putter can hold up down the stretch when it needs to. And so I'm taking him for the top 10 because I think that's almost a lock. We know he's going to be up and about there just by the fact that he's striking it and striping it better than most players ever have. Tiger-esque in his prime in terms of the irons and off the tee. But that putter is a definite worry. So, while I think he's an absolute certainty be in the mix, I'm not happy with him being a winner. I'm
still slapping Ben's wrists for taking a minus 200 pick for this segment, but that's okay for bankroll management. But I will echo those thoughts. Listen, we were both Ben and I were in Phoenix last week, and we were surprised to see that Scheffler had positive strokes gained putting. It's like, man, if he just has a decent week on the greens, he's going to be right there. It felt like he was going to win that event for a lot on Sunday, and then in the blink of an eye, 13, 14, 15, 3 holes, he lost 2.7 strokes gained putting. And that's all it takes. And that little stretch is never very far away, it seems, for Scotty Scheffler on the greens, given that he's so strong tee to green, especially with the irons. You know he's going to be in the mix, but when you're trying to look at such short prices in the outright market, it does, to Ben's point, scare you a little bit because those little 5 and 6 footers can add up real quick for him.
All right. What about you, Will? Who's your best bet this week?
We're winding down for the end of the West Coast swing, Chris, and so I'm running out of chances to nail down where exactly Tony Finau is going to be. I went to the well with him. I believe it was the Amex for a top 10. He cashed for me, so I'm going to try and bring back those vibes. It's hard to know when he's going to shine in terms of a victory, but I do think that he is going to be rock solid this week for a top 10 at plus money, Ben, plus 240, not minus 200. Yeah. A runner-up, it still astounds me a little bit that he didn't win it in 21 when Max Homa beat him in the playoff. It really felt like he had that tournament won. He had another runner-up finish a couple years prior to that. And I want, when I'm looking at this course and this tournament, I need guys that hit it far off the tee. There are so many of those forced carries at Riviera, whether you're trying to cut the corner on the long par 4, you're trying to get around the bend on 11 to get there in 2. You have to be able to just hit it long and carry a long distance off the tee. I mean, that's not rocket science on the PGA Tour, but especially this week at this event, if the weather comes up, if it starts playing a little bit cooler, a little bit longer, I need someone like Finau that has that extra gear off the tee. He's shown it here before. I think he'll show it again.
We talk strokes gained tee to green a lot. Like most weeks, it's a big factor. But this week, the actual, I guess, the lean is towards the distance off the tee rather than the accuracy into the greens, right? Like the tee to green is the whole game, but more importantly, like Will said, it's the distance here. So the big bombers are definitely guys that you have to look at. They can just smash it out there and then work away from that point. Look, Tony is definitely one to keep an eye on. I possibly could have gone back to a well too myself and put Xander Schauffele in this top 10 spot. But as you guys know, I told him he's dead to me until he actually does it, actually wins here. So we'll see how he goes up here this week. But look, Tony, he should finish in the top 10. Let's see if he can do it.
I am going back to Will's well for my top 10. His winner last week was Cameron Young. I'm going to go Cameron Young top 10 plus 250. I think he's close to playing his best golf, and he has the most strokes gained on this course of anybody playing, albeit only 2 rounds. Okay, the inside job, I swear it's not an inside job here on the long shot, because you guys, ironically, it wasn't a coincidence, or it was a coincidence, I'm sorry, both picked Nicolai Højgaard. Ben, you start why Højgaard is your long shot.
He smashes it, and he's good off strokes gained tee to green, like I mentioned. He's right up there on the PGA Tour in stats. I know it's his first year and it's a small sample size, but I think he can absolutely belt the ball down across Riviera. And, you know, we're obviously only looking at guys plus 5,000 or above, and he just jumped out at me as an absolute stud in the making. Everyone forgets about him a little bit because of Aubert or Abeg or whatever we're calling him now. So I think I'll go to his European teammate here to surprise, and he's the type that could sort of really put the hammer down and actually take it from day one here. So we'll see how he goes.
Maybe we spent a lot of time at the Danish consulate in Arizona last week. I don't know. Who's to say? I will echo Ben's points. I think that this is a price grab for me. I don't know. You know, we have our line in the sand for this long shot segment is plus 5,000 or higher, 50 to 1. I don't think Nicolai Højgaard is going to be in that zone for much longer. He's put up some really good numbers, some really good results, primarily on the DP World Tour. The more he plays in the U.S. and on the PGA Tour this year, the more likely it is he's going to spike a result, and it's not going to take much to get him closer to where his friend Ludwig, let's say, is trading in the markets, maybe plus 2,000, plus 3,000, things like that. So it's hard to win on this course in your first trip. I believe Ben's friend Adam Scott was the last to do it back in 2005 as a debutante, but I do think that Højgaard fits the description of a player who should play well here. And again, the plus 5,500 is not going to be around very long for him, given how well he has played and how well I expect him to play heading into the spring and summer.
I wasn't going to make you lobby on your pick for Højgaard as a long shot, Ben. I am going to make you lobby on your pick for Adam Scott as the winner this week. Go.
2-time champion, 2-time runner-up, and 5 extra top 15s here at Riviera. He knows this course better than anyone in the field, including Tiger, I'd say. Just the fact that he loves it here, has always loved it here. The grass, the kikuyu, is something he grew up on. He's used to playing well amongst that sort of grass, and he also putts well on these greens, which is something he doesn't do in his larger body of work. I believe it's a while back now before he won the 2020 version, that I looked into his strokes gained stats, and he basically was inside the top 25 every time he played at Riviera, and that is why he plays so well here. He knows these greens. He can handle the bumpy power. While others get annoyed with it, he embraces it. And look, a little sneaky top 10 last week that not many people noticed out there in Phoenix. And I know he was just gearing himself up to come here and take down all the big dogs right over my shoulder here.
So, Chris, Ben blacklisted Xander Schauffele a couple weeks ago,
and
I am yes, and I am borderline blacklist for Patrick Cantlay. This is it. This is it for me for a while with Patrick Cantlay. I tried at Pebble. I knew that he was having his struggles in the final round at the American Express and at Torrey Pines. He was the betting favorite heading into the second round, and then the weather got in the way. He ended up T11. Didn't really finish that strongly in the third round. So we're going to try one more time because he was third here last year. He led the field in strokes gained tee to green. He's a UCLA guy, very familiar with the course and the area. Everything is lining up. I am concerned with how well not well he has played in the final round, and I'm going to try one more time here, Patrick, because there are just too many boxes that are getting checked for me not to think that a player of his caliber is going to get a win soon. He tends to thrive more on the West Coast versus as we head closer to Florida. So I don't know the next chance I'm going to have to pick Patrick Cantlay with as much confidence as I have right now, but I will tell you this much. If he's T3 going into Sunday and then fades to T12, it's going to be a long time before I pick him again.
Let's be fair.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
I was just going to jump in on that. Like, all the stats pointed to Cantlay for me in Pebble, so I was heading that way. Didn't work out. All the stats pointed to JT last week, so I headed that way. Didn't work out. And I like to look at Cantlay and the statistical stats again this week. I'm out. I'm not getting in on the guy that's supposed to win. I'm going for the Aussie. I'm going with the gut.
Everything you guys just said means pick Victor Hovland, because that's the guy nobody's picking, and you just confirmed that the last 2 weeks. What I was going to say, Will, was you got to be fair to yourself, because Patrick Cantlay is an early in the year kind of golfer and a late in the year kind of golfer. So you can write him off if he doesn't play well this week, but please go back to him in July or August. Is that fair enough to say?
The pencil will have an eraser, so we'll be able to make some adjustments down the line, but there will definitely be a line through the book after this week if things don't pan out.
All right, that's the Golfbet Roundtable. Ben, you were so quiet this week because you had to be. Get a little rowdy next time. Not so much Phoenix Open rowdy, though, okay?
Well, I'll be getting a little rowdy when I go and watch Tiger play some golf. It's always fun, and the crowd will definitely be behind him. Let's hope he has a decent week and hopefully sticks around for the weekend, because that'll just make the crowds even more impressive here.
Can't wait. See you next time.